As security is the state of being free from danger or threat, we put too much attention to details to deter or detect any potentials that may cause us bodily harm or injury or even damage to property. As security practitioner, we formulate policies and implement controls that could mitigate impacts caused by these potentials. Hence, in this content, any potentials may be referred to as enemy. But what unique we are going to talk about today, is to explore what are the mindsets of the enemy. Please allow me to introduce you to 77 rules of your enemy. Hi, my name is Veronica, and Elle will be the one to guide you through the 77 rules of your enemy. Please bear in mind that you will about to discover and how prepared is your enemy and what they think. But before I move forward, I wish to remind you that you need to subscribe to this Security and Safety Perspective PH channel so you will reach more of the updates that we will publish in the future. Also, we wish to remind you that all contents that you can be found or learn from here are confidential and it needs utmost discretion as you carry out your respective task. Please be responsible. Okay, let's start. 77 Rules of the Enemy. Rule number 1. Your enemy always double tap. Rule number 2. Your enemy always have an escape plan. Rule number 3. Your enemy knows that an assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. Rule number 4. Your enemy always have a backup plan. Rule number 5. Your enemy knows how to never get caught. Rule number 6. Your enemy knows how to keep his mouth shut. Rule number 7. Your enemy observes KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Rule number 8. Your enemy knows 7 P's. Proper planning and preparation prevents piss-poor performance. Rule number 9. Your enemy prepares to plan, execute and vanish. Rule number 10. Your enemy always invest in good quality. Rule number 11. Your enemy always trust their gut. Rule number 12. Your enemy always carry a knife. Rule number 13. Your enemy do one thing at a time. Rule number 14. Your enemy knows how he pick his battles. Rule number 15. Your enemy knows that simple and light equals freedom, agility and mobility. Rule number 16. Your enemy knows that the target dictates the weapon and the weapon dictates the movement. Rule number 17. Your enemy uses ACTE. Assess the situation, create a simple plan, take action and evaluate their progress. Rule number 18. Your enemy don't believe what they're told. They double check. Rule number 19. Your enemy hide in plain sight and they blend in. Rule number 20. Your enemy thinks like a man of action and acts like a man of thought. Rule number 21. Your enemy knows that the more sophisticated the technology, the more vulnerable it is to primitive attacks. Rule number 22. Your enemy understood that if you're happy with your security, so are they. Rule number 23. Your enemy knows that when bad guys attack, good guys react. This is not a viable security strategy. Rule number 24. Your enemy knows that an adversary is most vulnerable to detection and disruption just prior to an attack. Rule number 25. Your enemy knows that low-tech attacks work, even against high-tech devices and systems. Rule number 26. Your enemy never mess with another man's coffee. Rule number 27. Your enemy never spend time trying to move their opponent, they just move themselves. Rule number 28. Your enemy knows that the quality of their friends always matter more than the quantity. Rule number 29. Your enemy always provide correction in private and praise in public. Rule number 30. Your enemy understands that opening the door for a lady is not optional. Rule number 31. Your enemy can do big things with a small team. Rule number 32. Your enemy don't go into debt. Rule number 33. Your enemy never publish their life online. They keep their life private. Rule number 34. Your enemy knows that GORUCK rule, under promise and over deliver. Rule number 35. Your enemy knows that progress comes to those who train and train. Reliance on secret techniques will get you nowhere. Rule number 36. Your enemy understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. Rule number 37. Your enemy knows 10,000 things and one of it too well. Rule number 38. Your enemy knows what they do when it counts. Rule number 39. Your enemy never think that it was too easy, it was a trap. They will look for the jumping guards coming from the sides. Rule number 40. Your enemy don't obey your security policies. Rule number 41. Your enemy knows that if there's a question about if it's necessary, they remove it. Less is more and more is lazy. Rule number 42. Your enemy believes that once is an accident. Twice is coincidence. 3 times as an enemy action. Rule number 43. Your enemy never do the same thing twice. Rule number 44. Your enemy always take care of their team first, then their gear and finally themselves. Rule number 45. Your enemy check the crowd. Who is staring at them, who is all of a sudden silent when they enter. Rule number 46. Your enemy always sit their back to the wall, even when there are mirrors they can use. Rule number 47. Your enemy never take the elevator. Rule number 48. Your enemy knows that the solution is in the problem. Rule number 49. Your enemy understand that fail to check and everything will go according to plan right up to the point it doesn't. Rule number 50. Your enemy also considers that if it's stupid, but works, it isn't stupid. Rule number 51. Your enemy don't play by the rules. Rule number 52. Your enemy don't become predictable. Rule number 53. Your enemy knows that their fucks are their fucks alone to give. Rule number 54. Your enemy plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. Rule number 55. Your enemy act, they don't react. Rule number 56. Your enemy knows that shitty situations inspire brilliant solutions. Rule number 57. Your enemy always established baselines. Look for anomalies. Have a plan. Rule number 58. Your enemy knows that if they want truly to understand something, they try to change it. Rule number 59. Your enemy is well aware that expectations equals disappointment. They don't expect anything. Rule number 60. Your enemy don't like it. They do it. Rule number 61. Your enemy understand. Anticipate. Adapt. Rule number 62. Your enemy knows that the real attackers will make them patch their people. Rule number 63. Your enemy, first, they check, then they double-check. Finally, they commit. Rule number 64. Your enemy knows that he who angers them, conquers them. Rule number 65. Your enemy find a way to succeed. Rule number 66. Your enemy clap only when they are impressed. Rule number 67. Your enemy knows that once is an accident. Twice is, an enemy attack. Rule number 68. Your enemy add things until it starts sucking. Take things away, until it stops getting better. Rule number 69. Your enemy knows the GLBYS rule. Gary, look before you sit. Rule number 70. Your enemy knows that if they can't be smart, they better be strong. Rule number 71. Your enemy are hard to break. Rule number 72. Your enemy knows that every time they train with the motivation and purpose that they will be the hardest person someone ever tries to kill. Rule number 73. Your enemy has tremendously detailed planning, violent execution. Rule number 74. Your enemy always have a plan. Rule number 75. Your enemy always have a backup plan, because the first one probably won't work. Rule number 76. Your enemy always have an escape plan because all the rest of the plans will fail. Rule number 77. Your enemy always remember PACE. Primary, alternate, contingency and emergency. There you have it. The 77 rules of your enemy. This will guide you to fully understand how your enemy thinks, and your job depends on how you truly understand the concepts of these rules. Meantime, please stay tuned to the further advice of the admin of this channel. Sir JB will introduce you further to a more in-depth application of security in our day-to-day life.
Thank you.